Hello students, in this video we are going to discuss a few application part of the dimensional analysis. So dimensional analysis we already know, we write some physical quantity in terms of the fundamental units or some fundamental quantities like L, M, T, where L denotes for length, then M denotes for mass and T is for time. So we may use remaining physical fundamental quantities to write down the any other physical quantity in terms of the fundamental quantities. So now we'll see how the dimensional analysis can be useful in our physical equations. So the first application is to find out the dimensions of various physical quantity, in which we are starting with the first physical quantity, which is named as power. Okay, so we will find the dimensions of the power. So first of all, we must know about the formula of power. Power is expressed as work upon time, and work can also be expressed as force into displacement. So which will be more simplified equations or the formula for the power. So now, as we know that the dimensions of force we can find out with the help of physical equations. F is equal to ma, that is mass into acceleration. So therefore, the dimensions for the force, which is L1, M1, and T minus 2. For displacement, it is just a length or measurement of a length. So we can write it as L1, M0, and T0. And for the denominator we have time, for which we just write L0, M0, and T1. If you solve this equation by the power rule, then we can have the dimensions of the power as L to the power 2, then M to the power 1, and T to the power minus 3. Hence the dimensions of power can be expressed as power is equal to L2, M1, and T minus 3. So this is for the power. Now in the next slide we will going to discuss about the dimensions of the force, which we have directly used here. We will find it in the next part. So second is our force. As we already know, we write force can be expressed as mass into acceleration. So its dimensions can also be found out by using the dimensions of mass and acceleration. So therefore we write dimensions of force equal to dimensions of mass multiplied by dimensions of acceleration. Here the dimensions of mass will be L0, M1, T0, and for acceleration should be L1, M0, and T minus T. Since we write the acceleration as meter per second square and mass as a kg. Now by using the power rules, we will simply write the dimensions of force as L1, M1, and T minus 2. So the same value we have used in the previous calculation for finding the dimensions of force. Hence, this is what the dimensions of force. So the next quantity, which is a permittivity of a vacuum, which is a little bit complicated. So we use first the Coulomb's force for the force of attraction or repulsion between the 2 point charges, which we write as F is equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught into q1 q2 by r square. This is what the Coulomb's force. Now, so as we require the dimensions for epsilon naught, so we'll take epsilon naught on the other side. So then the formula becomes 1 upon 4 pi q1 q2 by f into r square. Again, so therefore the dimensions of epsilon naught is nothing but, so since this number is a dimensionless quantity as 1 upon 4 pi, so we can neglect it and we will write the dimensions of charge, let's say q1, again the similar dimensions for q2. We can directly square this, and at the denominator there should be a dimensions of force into dimensions of r square, where r is the distance between the 2 point charges q1 and q2. So we define the force of attraction or repulsion between the 2 point charges when they are separated by a distance is equal to r. Now, here as we know, q, that is charge, is defined as current into time, and since charge is not a fundamental quantity, so we write it in terms of the dimensions of the current. So L0, then M0, T1 and I1. So this should be the dimensions of the charge. So we can write here which is equal to L0, M0, T1, I1. And since it is 2 times, so either we can square it or we'll again multiply it with the same factor. So since I have written q1 q2 separately, so I can write it separate. So L0 again, M0, then T1 and I1. For the denominator, we have the dimensions of force, which will be L1, M1 and T minus 2. Just now we have discussed in the previous example. And for the r is a distance, so we can write it as L2 since it's r square, then M0 and T0. By solving this, you will have the dimensions of permittivity as L to the power minus 3, then M to the power 1, and for T, it should be 0, sorry, it should be T raised to 4, since at the denominator there is a minus 2 and which will go to the numerator become a plus 2, so and 1 plus 1 that will be 2. So T to the power 4, and again for the current it should be to the power 2. So these are what the dimensions of epsilon naught or the permittivity of the free space, and its value which sometimes will be asked in MCQs or any entrance exam is given by epsilon naught is equal to 8.85 into 10 raised to minus 12, and its unit is what? It is Coulomb square per Newton meter square. Again similarly we can define these units from the same formulations which we have obtained at the start. So this is how we can find out the dimensions of any physical quantity if you know the formula for finding the physical quantity. Now the next application of the dimensional analysis is to find out the conversion factor between the two different system of units. So second examples gives us the idea about the same. So we will start with it. Using dimensions show that 1 joule is equal to 10 raised to 7 erg. So as we know that joule is the unit of energy and erg is its SI unit. So then we will write first 1 joule is nothing but 1 Newton per meter. So it's a more fundamental as we write the energy as a force into the displacement. or we consider this as x dyne per dyne centimeter, and this dyne centimeter nothing but the erg. So we will write it as x erg. So this x we have to find out. Let's consider the dimensions of energy, or we will write the dimensions of energy or the work as equal to L2 M1 and T minus 2. Okay. So we just added one length factor to the force formula, since your work done or the energy is given by force into the displacement. Now, so we will use the same equation, that 1 joule is equal to x erg. So we'll first write for SI system as L12, then M11 and T minus 2 1 equal to x times L2 M1, sorry, M21 and T2 minus 2. Here suffixes 1 in left hand side and 2 in right hand side indicates the SI and CGS unit respectively, or the dimensions in SI and CGS unit respectively. So that from here we can write x must be equal to that. We'll write it as L1 by L2 to the power x to the power 2 into, next one is M1 upon M2 to the power 1 into T1 by T2 to the power minus 2. Now we will express it in terms of the unit. As we know, for SI system, for the length we use a meter, so it should be meter upon centimeter the whole square into, for the mass we use kg in SI and gram in CGS unit, so it will be kg upon 2 raised to 1 into, and for time we use second in both the cases, as either in SI or CGS. Now we will put the conversion factor between SI and CGS units. As we know, 1 meter is equal to 100 centimeter, or we write it as 10 raised to 2 centimeter. We will use this value here. So it becomes 10 raised to 2 centimeter by centimeter and its square into, next one is for kg. We know that 1 kg is equal to 10 raised to 3 gram or 1000 gram. We will write it as 10 raised to 3 gram pound. And we don't have any factor for second because of the time, because second is both or time is same for the both the system. So we will avoid the last bracket, and therefore say a centimeter will get cancelled out, gram will also cancel out, and we will have 10 raised to 2 to the power 2, which is equal to 10 raised to 4 into 10 raised to 3, or finally this is equal to what, 10 raised to 7. So the value of x must be equal to 10 raised to 7, and therefore we can comment that, as we have defined 1 joule equal to 10 raised to, sorry, as we have defined 1 joule is equal to x erg. So therefore we will write the final answer as 1 joule equal to 10 raised to 7. Okay.